Hello and welcome to my second instalment of Ask Me Anything. Thank you for some excellent questions that you've been sending in. Let's get to them. Also, I don't look at these questions before because I like I'll say because I like the surprise and spontaneity. I won't say just because it's lazy and easy to do it that way. I do actually like the surprise and spontaneity. In your current life, if you could make a current comfortable living doing anything without fear of financial discomfort, what would it be? So if I was suddenly a bazillionaire, I would pretty much still do a lot of the things that I do in my life, but I would certainly feel the freedom just to spend my days writing books. I love writing books. Actually, that's not true. Writing books is painful. I love having written books, but I feel that it's a little bit of an indulgence as they don't really pay for my life. But yeah, that's what I would do. And the question of where would that take you? So when COVID happened and all of my speaking work just died, it was a good chance to reflect. And I realised that for many years what I've wanted to be is a writer and to say to people, my name's Alistair Humphreys, I'm a writer. And therefore, if I want to be a writer, what I need to do is write. I need to take that seriously and get on with writing books. And so since then, I've been daring myself to do as little speaking work as possible in order to pour my efforts and determination into book writing. Whether that will succeed, who knows? Right. Do you truly love being an adventurer and writer? Or do you feel that it's become an obligation? I guess because I'm sort of trapped in it now. I've been doing it for a long time. I do really love doing what I do. I do sometimes wonder what else I could do at this stage of my life, because what I don't want to be doing is reaching 65 and still earning a living by talking about the time I cycled around the world when I was 25. I don't want to be doing that at 55. I didn't want to be doing it at 35 or 45, but I am. So I guess I've ended up just kind of carrying on with it because it's fun and pretty easy. And so I feel, well, trapped is the wrong word because that's a negative word, but I do feel I'm pretty committed down this path. My new book, I've just been writing this book called Local, which is, the very first email feedback I had from it was from someone who's really disappointed because they like my books being about adventure, and this was just a book about nature and wildlife and the environment, and they found that quite annoying and disappointing. And that the relevance to that for this question is that one thing I'm trying to do is to allow my work to evolve and to pivot, and I do now quite strongly feel much more interested in the nature side of life than the just here's 10 great sleeping bags to buy this month sort of adventure stuff. So I do feel that I'm pivoting, but rather slowly, a bit like what that massive ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal over a large turning circle. Do you enjoy book tours? One thing I'd love to do is a speaking tour, going to lots of different towns around anywhere actually around. I'd love to on in different countries if anyone actually wanted to come and see me anywhere. But I'd love to do a speaking tour. I went to lots of different towns, and what appeals to me about that is not actually the speaking. It's that the sort of people who come to speaking tour talks are likely to buy my books, and I love when talks are a good chance to sell books. Rather say than some of the corporate talks I do where no one's ever heard of me. Hopefully they enjoy me, but then they forget about me and go and have their lunch. So book tours are people who've voluntarily chosen to come and hear me, which generally makes for a really nice audience. What really appeals to me most about a book tour, though, is the journey of the book tour, of going to different towns, places I don't know, waking up in new cities, which is one of my favourite things to do, going for a run round somewhere that I've never been to before, having breakfast, a coffee, meeting someone nice in the new town, and then doing a talk. So yeah, I'd love to do a speaking book tour at some point. Do you enjoy public speaking engagements? Which ones do you enjoy the most and the least? I really like speaking once I start. Sometimes, so the corporate talks I do, at conferences, sometimes before I think, oh man, don't really want to go to X city to talk to X random company. And yet when I get there, I always really enjoy learning about random industries that I know nothing at all about. And then I enjoy getting up on stage and trying my best to tell a story that's useful and interesting for people. And then you get a nice warm glow afterwards when hopefully people have liked it. So I always enjoy talks having done them. Yeah. Do you ever take along a camera person on your adventures, or is it all a variation of selfies? So if you watch something like, say on YouTube, my film My Midsummer Morning about walking through Spain, I hope you didn't enjoy the film, but skim through it and watch it again with the thought of, this guy's filmed all of this on his own, because there's quite a lot of shots of me walking far off into the distance, and then in reality then I then have to put down my rucksack, run back, get my camera, turn it off, go back to the rucksack. So there's a lot of walking up and down and back and forth. My film Into the Empty Quarter about walking through the desert I did with Leon, and the two of us there were both filming, so that's sort of shared duties somewhat. But I've never gone off on an adventure when it's just me plus someone to take photos of me looking cool. No, I haven't done that. Where do you write? Does it have to be quiet? Can you write in a noisy coffee shop? Do you carry a notebook at all times? I usually write in here. This is my shed. It's a pretty bog standard garden shed that I paid for with the royalties from my Micro Adventures book. I can write in cafes, and I like writing in cafes, but I usually have to listen on my headphones to white noise. I've got a white noise track that's 3 hours of just, and that cuts out everyone's chitter chatter, because I cannot write if other people are chatting, because I'm so nosy I just listen to them. I don't carry a notebook at all times. I do like it when I've got a notebook with me, but I do always these days have my phone, and I write lots of notes on there as well. Generally, when I have an idea, I generally email it to myself. That's the system I seem to have. Do you have any pets? So when I was a teenager, I used to subscribe to Practical Fish Keeper magazine. It's probably why I didn't have any girlfriends. So I've always loved fish, aquariums. If there's a pet shop, I love going to the pet shop and looking at all the fish. So one day, when I'm really rich, I'd like a massive, gigantic aquarium somewhere. But I don't have that now, because I'm just always secretly hoping that I'll just be packing a rucksack and heading for the hills. So I try and have no commitments. It's why I haven't got any chickens. Who were your heroes? My heroes, I didn't really have heroes as a child. I suppose I loved sports people, but they weren't real heroes, just like sports people. And then when I was 19, early 20s, my heroes, and they were heroes then, were crazy, tough men and women doing big expeditions. And it was reading books of crazy big expeditions that encouraged me to dare to try some of my own. So it was all the sort of predictable, classic expedition travel heroes that encouraged me to do my own sort of adventures. Interesting. This is a good question. My experience has shown me that many adventurers and authors are bold and boisterous in their travels and storytelling, but in real life are often shy, even socially awkward. Do you consider yourself a social person or more of a loner? Oh, this is brilliant. I wonder who's done this. So, my family always tease me. Basically, if I have to go to a party, if they're all my friends, great, I like it. If it's people I don't know and small talk's involved, I absolutely hate that. And I used to sort of suck it up and get on with it. Now I'm old, I just can't be bothered. So increasingly, I just take my Kindle to places and sit in the corner and read my Kindle. So I might be bold and boisterous in my storytelling in my shed, but in real life I'm really not, and I get really nervous about having to meet people in real life. Sometimes people send me very nice emails saying like, oh wow, I like your stuff, maybe we could meet and go for a bike ride, or maybe we could meet and go for a coffee or for a beer. And I know that if I did that thing, once I started to get going and chatting with those people, I'd really like it. But the thought of it in advance terrifies me. So hence why I spend my life communicating with the world via talking to a camera in my shed. Excellent question. Right, I think that's the good one for us to end on for now. Great question. If you've got any more questions you'd like to ask me, send them in to the links that I will post here. Ask an adventure. Ask me anything.